Next speaker witnessed terrorism up close in Israel as a 14-year-old when Palestinian terrorists bombed a shopping center in Jerusalem that he was in. This set him on a course of study, and he became a national leading expert on terrorism, jihad, Sharia, and Islam. A noted speaker to the public, law enforcement, and Congress, he also writes articles for numerous publications and has a weekly radio show called American Akbar. Please welcome Gadi Adelman.
Hey, North Carolina. Oh, come on, there's more of you than that. You know, as few people as there are here, I honestly believe we've got more people than Hillary had at her last speech. You know, I want to thank everybody for having me out and for bringing me back. Thank you, Kevin, wherever you are. The first thing I was planning on doing was asking every veteran to stand up and recognize you guys, but that's already been done because he took the wind out of my sails, so we're just going to forget that. Listen, if it weren't for the veterans, we wouldn't be here today, so in all honesty, thank you. 2 years ago, I stood on this very stage and I spoke about the infiltration of the Muslim Brotherhood into the highest ranks of our government, from the Department of Homeland Security to the CIA to the Joint Terrorism Task Force to the White House. Now, since I arrived back in the United States in 1981, I've been warning of the dangers of terrorism and Islam. I've taught and lectured at high schools, colleges, for local and state law enforcement, to the military as well as politicians. I've written weekly articles for years to a multitude of different media outlets, and as they said, I even have my own radio show. But it didn't start out that way. I had said that our oceans would not keep us safe and that terror would hit our shores. I said it would happen within 10 years back in 1981. I was laughed at and I was ignored. On April 18, 1983, in what was only the second suicide bombing in history, Hezbollah, who was backed, trained, and supported by the Islamic Republic of Iran, attacked the United States Embassy in Beirut, Lebanon. They murdered 63 people, mostly embassy and CIA staff members, several soldiers, and 1 Marine. And I was ignored because it was the Middle East and it was overseas. On October 23rd, 1983, 2 Hezbollah suicide bomber trucks attacked the Marine barracks in Beirut, Lebanon. 241 American servicemen, 220 Marines, 18 sailors, and 3 soldiers were all murdered while on a peacekeeping mission. That incident was the deadliest single-day death toll for the United States Marine Corps since World War II's Battle of Iwo Jima. It was the deadliest single death toll of the United States since the first day of the Vietnam War's Tet Offensive, and the deadliest single attack on Americans overseas since World War II. But I was ignored because it was the Middle East and it was overseas. On December 12, 1983, a suicide bomber from the Iraqi Islamic Dawah Party, working with the support and assistance of the Islamic Republic of Iran, drove a truck with 45 large cylinders of gas connected to plastic explosives, broke through the front gates of the American Embassy in Kuwait City, and rammed into the embassy's 3-story administrative annex. 5 people were killed, and again, I was ignored because it was overseas and it was the Middle East. On September 20th, 1984, Hezbollah carried out yet another suicide car bombing targeting the U.S. Embassy Annex in East Beirut, Lebanon. The attack murdered 24 people, and through satellite reconnaissance, the United States Intelligence Group discovered that a mock-up of that annex had actually been created by the Revolutionary Guard, the Iranian Revolutionary Guard, at the Abdullah Barracks to practice for the attack. And again, I was ignored because it was the Middle East. On February 26, 1993, it came to our shores. 2 years later than what I had predicted. A truck bomb was detonated below the North Tower of the World Trade Center. 6 people died and more than 1,000 were injured. And you know what? I was ignored. Between 1993 and 2011, pardon me, 9/11, 2001, between 93 and 9/11, there were numerous attacks on U.S. embassies, consulates, and military bases worldwide. And then yesterday, 14 years ago, was 9/11. Unfortunately, it took that day for people to start to listen to me. After 9/11, I thought to myself, at least the 3,000 that died didn't lose their lives in vain. Now America will wake up and listen. I was so proud after 9/11, stores ran out of American flags. Flags were flying up and down every street in every neighborhood in the United States, all over cars. People had them in their vehicles, and America came together, and so it went for about 2 months. Between 9/11 and today, there have been over 40 Islamic terror attacks here in the United States, with more than 50 others that have been thwarted. Terrorism and jihad is not only on the rise, it's worse than before 9/11. Worldwide, get this number, folks. Worldwide, there have been, since 9/11, over 26,800 Islamic terrorist attacks. And the death toll has been in the hundreds of thousands. Now we have that JV team. You know, ISIS, or as our current administration likes to call it, ISIL. We are importing people from the Middle East faster than illegals are coming across our southern border. ISIS has stated that they are sending jihadi fighters embedded with these so-called refugees. Is anybody listening? Our tax dollars are paying for this. And you know what's worse than that? There is absolutely no vetting going on. Are you a terrorist? No? Come on in. That's where we're at today. Oh, and did I mention none of those refugees that they're letting in are Christians or Jews? Let me explain here and now. These people that are fleeing the Middle East, they are not all refugees. They are not all migrants. Many of them aren't even from Syria. The fact is they're coming from Libya, Tunisia, Afghanistan. There are Eritreans, Nigerians, and Kosovars. This is nothing more than a mass caliphate into Europe and the West, and that trail leads right back to the White House and Obama's policies that not only caused this, but could have prevented it. What's more, Obama announced 2 days ago on Thursday that we'll be taking in at least 10,000 more Syrians next year than we did this year. On the day before the anniversary of the worst attack this country's ever seen. And he's saying, it's okay, send them here. No. Now, those that have attacked us are the victims. I, along with anybody else who speaks out about Islam or terrorism, is called an Islamophobe. I'm actually on the Southern Poverty Law Center's hate list. And that's a badge that I'm proud to wear. Amen. I must be doing something right. We love you. Love you too. The problem is, even though while the Poverty Law Center is listening to me, those that should be aren't. The FBI is aware of and confirmed at least 22 paramilitary Islamic communes in the United States, and they're being operated by a Pakistani group being run by Jamaat al-Fuqra and its main U.S. front group, the Muslims of America. Terrorist training camps right here in America. Now, some reports have that number of camps as high as 35, but only 22 have been verified. I'm sorry, maybe it's just me, but I think that one such training camp is already too many, and we're allowing it. Stealth jihad is what's going on here in America, right under our noses. And once again, I've been warning about this for years, but I'm ignored. The Muslim Brotherhood is so focused and organized that in 1982, they wrote a manifesto titled The Project. The project was distributed to the Muslim Brotherhood members around the world who were ordered to strictly guard the project's content from outsiders. And they did so until November 2001, when a copy of the project was discovered during a police raid of a senior Muslim Brotherhood financier in Switzerland. It was penned by Saeed Ramadan. He's the son-in-law of Hassan al-Banna, the actual founder of the Muslim Brotherhood. In this manifesto, the project, the Muslim Brotherhood wrote a plan. It's a 100-year plan on how to dominate the West and establish an Islamic government worldwide. What makes the project so concerning is it gives tactics and proposals for the Muslim Brotherhood and different organizations to follow on how to infiltrate the West, establish an Islamic government on earth. And part of their plan is how to get democratically elected Muslims into all levels of government in the West in order to influence policy and advance Islam. They talk about how to set up different Islamic organizations, human rights organizations, and civil rights organizations in order to advance Islam in the West. They talk about how to work with like-minded organizations, progressive organizations that share similar goals. And this is why we see, for example, the ACLU working with CARE, the Council on American Islamic Relations. The ACLU is being used by CARE in order to advance Islam in the United States. The Muslim Brotherhood's strategic plan for North America was also a closely held secret until the FBI discovered it during a raid of a house in Annandale, Virginia in 2004. Agents discovered a secret basement containing internal Muslim Brotherhood documents, including a strategic plan titled The Memorandum on the Strategic Goal for the Group. This strategic plan was written by a member of the board of directors for the Muslim Brotherhood in North America and a senior Hamas leader named Muhammad Akram, and was approved by the Brotherhood Shura Council and Organizational Conference in 1987. The plan establishes the mission of the Muslim Brotherhood in North America in this following passage. This is their mission for North America. The Ikhwan, which means brotherhood, the brotherhood must understand that their work in America is a kind of grand jihad in eliminating and destroying the Western civilization from within and sabotaging its miserable house by their hands and the hands of the believers so that it is eliminated and God's religion is made victorious over all other religions. That is their plan for the United States. We know from, among other things, and from the trove of documents that they uncovered, that the goal of destroying Western civilization from within is to be achieved by the Brotherhood in accordance with a phased 5-point plan. They are already at the point where they've done 4 of 5. And I'm just going to touch on all 5 phases, and you can see where we're going here in America. Phase 1. The discreet and secret establishment of leadership. Phase 2, the phase of gradual appearance on the public scene and exercising and utilizing various public activities. Phase 3, the escalation phase, prior to conflict and confrontation with the rulers, utilizing mass media. That's currently going on. Phase 4, open public confrontation with the government through exercising the political pressure approach. And phase 5, seeking power to establish their Islamic nation under which all parties and all Islamic groups are united. In other words, the Muslim Brotherhood strategy for destroying the United States is to get us, specifically our leadership, to do the bidding of the Muslim Brotherhood for them. The Muslim Brotherhood intends to conduct civilization jihad by co-opting our leadership into believing a counterfactual understanding of Islam and the nature of the Muslim Brotherhood, thereby coercing their leaders to enforce the Muslim Brotherhood narrative on the subordinates. CARE, the Council on American Islamic Relations, which is nothing more than Hamas in America, has sued a multitude of companies and won, from Target to Abercrombie and Fitch, for violating Islamic workers' rights on the basis of their religion. But a clerk of court, Kim Davis, was jailed because she didn't want her name on the marriage license of homosexuals. Her religion doesn't matter. There isn't a war of faith in America. Let me repeat that. There isn't a war of faith in America. What there is a war on Christianity and Judaism. Do you think the left and the Democrats are behind us? Because if you do, you're only partially right. The Muslim Brotherhood and their more than 30 American organizations are working hand in hand with every progressive group to obtain the goal of Islamic domination of the West and the United States. This is where we are in the United States today. The Muslim Brotherhood, the oldest terrorist organization still in existence today, is using our Constitution to do away with our Constitution. They have over 70 offshoot terror organizations worldwide, including Al-Qaeda and Hamas. Ayman al-Zawahiri, the former second in charge of Al-Qaeda, who's currently in charge of Al-Qaeda, used to be the leader of the Muslim Brotherhood in Egypt before he joined Al-Qaeda. This is what most people don't realize. They think, oh, well, if we just eliminate Al-Qaeda, all of our problems will be solved. Our problem is not going to be solved because our problem is an Islamic ideology wrapped up in a religion that is rising all over the world to bring back an Islamic empire that was intolerant of all other people. And that is what we have to fight today. Obama is not the problem, nor is he the reason for the rise of Islam. Hi, Dee. He is nothing more than an enabler. And we've had a lot of other presidents before him that were also enablers. The difference is most of those other presidents didn't know what they were doing, and Obama does. Obama has inundated his administration and our national security departments with people who have known ties and that are members of the Muslim Brotherhood, while systematically removing all references to Islam, thereby tying the hands of those that are tasked with protecting us. My biggest fear is the next president. We are at a crossroads in this country right now. The Muslim Brotherhood is on phase 5 of their plan. If we elect a president who doesn't know or understand Islam, it will be our demise. And don't think just because they have an R next to their name that they understand it. Don't think that they're going to learn about it fast enough either. If they don't know and understand terrorism right now, I don't care who they are, they're not going to know it quick enough. I've been studying Islam and terrorism for over 40 years, and I'm still learning new things every day. Right now, we have one candidate who says, I'll surround myself with the greatest people. I'll know everything I need to know on my first day. We have another candidate who actually stated 2 weeks after 9/11 that Islam is the greatest civilization on earth. And her company, Hewlett-Packard, actually had secret business dealings with the Islamic Republic of Iran while sanctions were in place. We have yet another candidate who says he knows more about terrorism because he's the only one to prosecute terrorists after 9/11. Yet he doesn't even believe that Sharia is real, let alone a threat to America. He appointed a devout Muslim with Muslim Brotherhood ties that defended a known Hamas operative as well as the Fort Dix 6 terrorists to the Superior Court of New Jersey. Yes, Chris Christie even stated, and I quote, this Sharia law this Sharia law business is crap. It's just crazy. And I'm tired of dealing with the crazies. I mean, you know, it's unnecessary to be accusing this guy of anything just because of his religious background, end quote. We have other candidates who are pro-Common Core. Do you know that Common Core not only misleads the truth on history, but has rewritten it to the point of total out-and-out lies when it comes to Islam? Do you know that Common Core actually says that those people that crashed planes into our buildings were freedom fighters? In the section of religion in Common Core, it says that Allah is God. And in the very next paragraph it says, but there were some who believed Jesus was the Messiah. Do you know who the major funders of Common Core in the United States are? Saudi Arabia and Qatar. Follow the money. If you want to stop this madness, if you want to see our country the way it once was, the way we remember it, if you want to bring this country back to its constitutional values, if you want to leave this country for your children and your grandchildren to enjoy rather than having to fix it, get involved. Know what your kids are learning in school, and if it's wrong, change it. Speak up, and I mean to everybody. It is time for those of us that believe in the Constitution to stop being the silent majority. As I have always said, think globally, but act locally. If we do that, we can take this country back. And one last thing. When it comes to the next election, do your homework, people. Check the candidates out real good. Check them out as if your life depended on it, because it does. Thank you.